Whether you're a veteran or you're just thinking about getting into 3D printing, the last 6 to 8 months have brought incredible technological advances to this hobby. I'm talking about filament printers that you can pull out of the box, have them self-level, and print something amazing just a few hours later. I'm talking about resin printers that you can pull out of the box, fill the vat, and be printing minutes later and have, again, something amazing just a few hours later. It's never been easier to get into this hobby, but there is one dragon I've not quite been able to slay. I would like a 3D printer that I can print a full-size helmet. I've printed plenty of them with seams, in parts. Now my wife is amazing, and I'm happy to say that on camera. She can take those pieces and put them together seamlessly, but it would be amazing if I didn't have to ask her to do that. I'm Ron Burke, editor-in-chief for Gamingtrend.com. Today we're going to unbox and check out the QIDI Plus 4. That just might be the slayer to my dragon. And with the power of editing, we have everything out of the box. Yes, this is very heavy, but I'm really appreciative that it does have these handles. So because the piece on top is not attached yet, it's very easy to pull this out with the handles. I was able to do that by myself. I just had to put the box on the floor to do it. Couldn't exactly lift it from up above my shoulders. So moving on from that, again with the power of editing, I have everything pulled out of the first accessories box. That is the screen. And we have some lubrication oil here and some thermal grease and Ethernet cable. Nice of them to include that. A tiny bag of tools with a spare fuse, which is nice. And it looks like, yep, some PFT tube, a couple of Allen wrenches, a small bit of Rapid Black PLA for you to test with. You'll probably need more than this, I would imagine, to print anything useful, but it'll at least be able to check and make sure everything's functional. The door handle, of course. They include a tiny screwdriver, a scraper, and a glue stick from Deli, D-E-L-I, in Chinese. All right, as well as, of course, instructions. So we're gonna go ahead and, again, the power of editing, finish getting everything set up out of this box, which is to say attaching the handle and the screen. The screen is really simple. You can see the cable that I freed on the front. It's just a little connector. You can't mess it up. It goes in the bottom here, and then this just hangs right on the front. Can't mess this up, so we're gonna go ahead and magically just have it done. Unlike any printer I've used to date, it's saying that the next step is actually to plug it in and finish the rest of the install from the screen, including unpacking. So let's do it. All right, now we're getting started. Looks like select a language, so English. Remove all tiles. Oh, all ties. Well, those were already removed. Seems like those actually kind of fell off. So I think we're good there. Remove 4 screws that fix hotbed. All right, so that's gonna be these 4 down here. So I'm gonna go ahead and grab the screwdriver and do that right now. Removing those allowed me to take out these shipping plates here. These hold down the bed to prevent it from sliding up and down the gear screw there. prevents any sort of damage during shipping. So we'll set those aside. You never know when you might need to stabilize this. Maybe you're gonna move. Those are the kind of things you want to keep on hand should you need to do that. All right, next on the list, about to moving platform. Please make sure the platform is clean and unlocked. Okay? While it does this, this is probably a good time to talk about the bed size. So the bed on this, the print size is 305 by 305 by 280. Now, depending on the size of your head, at least for my head, I think that's going to be large enough to print a full-size helmet. Probably from corner to corner, maybe not facing front to back, but we'll have to see when I've gotten a few things printed and I'm comfortable with the printer, what I'm able to pull off. I don't tend to print benchies. In fact, if I'm being honest, other than my very first printer, I stopped printing them. Same thing with spending a ton of filament on calibration. I just don't do it. It's not my thing. I can usually figure it out without doing an entire spool of filament of calibrations. All right, install the supplies holder. I'll show that from our overhead camera here. This is the included one. It's going to go on the back, and then this little spool handle here is going to go inside like so. Lock in place. And then obviously the filament's going to sit there. So to do that, I'm going to have to mount this to the back with 4 screws. So through the magic of editing, one more time. All right, that's done. Keep pushing the filament into the filament tube until it reached extruder. So it wants us to load a little bit of filament, and it wants us to use that small bit of tube that I found. It wants me to push that through so it goes inside the case. Next, we want to set the corresponding nozzle temperature for filament and start heating. So in this case, it's going to be around 220. We'll hit OK. You can hear it start to fire up and heat the chamber, which obviously, I should say, heat the nozzle. And go ahead and close this. While that heats, which it's doing very quickly, I also want to point out that this uses a fairly standard plate. I'm pretty sure you can get those just about anywhere. I like the ones that I get from Wham Bam. Their plates are fantastic. They also make reversible ones that I really like that are great because you can use one side for one type of material and flip it over for more difficult materials. You're welcome to, of course, look around, but that's my personal choice. This one is reversible. It does have that grit type covering on both sides, but in this case, it's the same thing on both sides. All right, this has reached temperature, so we're gonna go ahead and hit next. Click load, and then keep pushing the filament until it comes out from the nozzle. All right, pretty standard there. Load, and it looks like it already did. It already grabbed it and it's already pulling it. So we're gonna keep hitting load until we see it come out of the nozzle. All right, next, congrats. Guide tutorial finished. Please perform leveling and resonance compensation before printing. Now I do want to take a second and mention what that is. This printer moves very quickly, 600 millimeters per second. So obviously you want to make sure that this is on a completely level surface and that no other printing you're doing might interfere with what this printer is doing. You start getting that resonance going back and forth between two printers, you may suddenly have a problem where you have splits in your prints or all sorts of other problems. So make sure you've got this on a space where it is somewhat isolated. So we're gonna hit completed, and we're kind of done. At this point, we're gonna hit tool, auto bed leveling, and it's gonna say leveling at the temperature corresponding to the printing consumables will result in more accurate leveling results. In this case, we're gonna use probably PLA to start. So again, I'm gonna say probably look that up for your particular PLA and make sure that you've got the correct thing. I do like this though. Please set to the temperature above 35. Okay, that's a good input. Another couple of things that I'm seeing automatically right here, consumable drying. So this does have apparently the ability to do drying. We'll have to check that out. Please use a box that's resistant to high temperatures. Maybe it's talking about attaching one. Input shaping. Please check the platform there's no debris. Click the button to start resonance compensation. All right, so that's gonna give this compensation to handle the shaking of the platform. Set. So this is where you can connect it to your network for updates, which I would encourage you to get. I've never gotten a printer that didn't need updates right out of the box. This does use QIDI's own version of Clipper, which I am not mad at. That's fantastic. And that should make it compatible with just about anything you like, Orca Slicer, whatever you prefer. Export logs, that's useful for being able to give that to QIDI for troubleshooting if you run into an issue. Controls, looks like we can move the head around pretty easily. Replace filament, load filament, move 1 millimeter all the way up to 100 millimeters. That's nice. Being able to adjust the speed of the 3 fans, bed temperature, as well as chamber heating. This does have chamber heating, which is going to give you a much more consistent print. I'm seeing a lot of things that I like. I also want to pop around the back and show you something else that I noticed. While I was connecting the spool holder here, which I found interesting because the instructions are also on the back, I also noticed that belt tensioning is done back here, and that's fantastic. I like that you can adjust the belt tensioning both here and over here without needing to dig through a bunch of items on top or needing to take anything other than the top off. This way I can just reach it from the back and make that adjustment. Down here at the bottom is the Ethernet jack, and also back here is your waste chute. So I'm probably going to print something here to drop the waste kind of down a slide and out the side here, so I don't have to worry about having to get behind the unit to clean it out. But that is where you're going to find these items. I also find it interesting that all of the after sales stuff is on the back. So you have your websites and email addresses, as well as their Facebook and YouTube. I would check this out. There are a number of really good videos I've already seen there, so it's great that they included that. Just weird that they put it on the back. The last element to unpack is the included USB. They gave you an 8 gig QIDI Tech branded USB stick, and then the glass top. So I'll go ahead and remove this. I'm going to mute this sound. You'll note that it has spaces for the handles to stick out, as well as obviously if you wanted to run anything else in there, additional fans or whatever, you have space to do that. But this is just going to go right on top, just like so. And if you're curious, the USB stick is right up top here in the back. Obviously, I would have much preferred that be up front, but that's certainly not terrible. I've certainly seen worse. At least they didn't put it all the way in the back. So the next time you see me, I'll have printed something amazing, hopefully. I do know that the light in here is for a reason. This does have a pretty awesome camera for doing time-lapse photography of what you're printing. So why don't we do exactly that? I'm going to move this into where it's going to live permanently, and let's print a few things. Welcome back. For you, it's only been a split second, but for me, it's been 170 hours of printing. Now, I can't think of anything more boring than printing a Benchy, so I just don't. This is what I print. My first print was a set of chip clips, and what came off of it was spaghetti. I figured this is the first filament that's ever flowed through this printer, we'll chalk it up to that. Every other chip clip on that panel was perfect. So naturally, the progression from chip clip is helmet, full size, because that's what I did. I threw this on the plate, and as you can see, it's a full size Space Marine Primaris helmet. And as you can also see, it's damn near flawless. Now, I haven't touched anything you see here in terms of cleanup. So the flaws that we do see are merely artifacts of the printing process. From our top-down view, you can see the concentric circles that you normally get at the top end of something circular like this. The top end of this print, I'm gonna have to sand that down and clean that up. Obviously, that's not the desired look. We also have a super tiny split here that I'm gonna have to fill in. And that kind of runs all the way to the edge here. So I'm gonna have to fill that in with probably a dropper and some resin, and I'll just clean that up and seal it completely closed. You'll never even know it was there. Everything else is perfect. I haven't cleaned out these edges yet, but that's just filament stuck in there. I'll get that out. But this is one solid piece. I didn't do anything special. This is not glued together. You can see, hopefully there, you can see inside, there's just no lines. This is literally one solid piece printed all at once. So if you were thinking, can this printer handle a full-size helmet? Yes, it can. Almost straight out of the box. I printed chip clips first, that was second. So naturally, what's after that? Well, a bolter pistol. I can't really pick this up very much because it's not glued together. Again, I didn't want to do any post-processing, but I can kind of show this top-down camera here. None of these pieces are on stable. They're just kind of set on here. So, but as you can see, this bolter pistol printed and all of its little constituent parts, there's a main body and then all these little pieces that kind of just sit on there. And then we have a magazine. There's little small holes there, which I can throw a magnet in, and I can pop that in and have it stick, and I'll be able to eject that magazine and throw a new one in and add some realism to my bolt pistol. Why a bolt pistol? Because I already have a chainsword. So paired with the chainsword, bolt pistol, we're trying to stay accurate to Warhammer 40K. I decided, you know what, let's do the whole thing. So I'm gonna print a full-size suit of armor. And I teamed up with the team at Sunlu to help me do that. So they're gonna help me with some logistics around filament. There's nothing special about this filament. This is literally just the cherry red filament that Sunlu sells on Amazon. That's exactly what I have here. This is high speed filament, but beyond that, nothing special. So if you were thinking maybe I had to have some special filament to be able to handle something like this, nope. This is the $15 filament that you can get just about anywhere. So I'm starting on the left side. I went ahead and printed the left hand. Again, I can't really move it, but you can see on this top-down printer, this top-down camera, you know, we have the kind of the hand plate, and then we have all the individual finger pieces. Those are all gonna have to go in a glove. But again, you can see they're perfectly clean. Moving up the arm, I didn't print the forearms yet. Actually, I ran out of filament. But there's a forearm piece that goes on here. This goes on top of it. It's meant to be like a panel that opens up. I might try and print this in two pieces so I actually have something that can open. But we're talking long pieces of completely flat surface that just don't show any real deformity. I'm gonna hit this with a light sand just to clean it up and make it smooth, but I probably don't even have to do that. I could probably hit this with a primer and be done. Same thing with, this is a elbow piece. You can see how large this is going to be. This is the human size. This isn't even the Astartes size. So I'm not gonna have to learn to walk on stilts. This is where we first actually see a little bit of a deformity. You can see where I had this kind of angled like so, and I had my supports were right there, and that kind of roughed that up a little. So I'll probably hit that with some resin to completely smooth that out, and then sand it, and it'll be just as smooth as this side. This is actually got a infill here inside this portion, so this is fairly thick. You could actually probably bump into something here. But again, we're talking long surfaces with very little bit of kind of a surface that I'll need to sand. So my post-production work on something this large will be less, just by virtue of the fact that this prints so cleanly. This last piece is a bicep piece, and as you can see, it's again large rounded surfaces that came out completely clean. I can hit this with primer and then just paint it, and then it's gonna go kind of up here like this. I don't know how I'm gonna fit in this thing. It's gonna be crazy, but yeah, I'm gonna print this thing completely. I'm not gonna go the foam core route. I am probably gonna end up falling and hurting myself, but you know what? Part of being a Space Marine, I guess. What's amazing to me here is I didn't do a special setting for any of this. I didn't print any weird, certainly didn't print a benchy. I've never printed a benchy in my life. That's just, what a waste of filament. I didn't print any sort of test elements. I didn't print any cards to check depths. None of that. I told it automatic settings. I fed it the filament. I hit print. And what you see here is what I got. Now, your mileage may vary. Who knows what your experience is going to be, but this is what I've got. So this is what I have to judge it on. As such, I am truly impressed with what QIDI has put together. This printer is phenomenal. The build volume is certainly big enough to handle just about anything I could possibly throw at it. The chest piece, I'm probably gonna have to split that into 3 pieces, but beyond that, you can see I'm printing full-size armor pieces in a single shot. And the speed on it is such that I'm gonna have this done long before I need to get it done for October. I'll be able to take my time in cleaning the surfaces and doing my prep work and making this an amazing piece of armor. Now, I wanna share that with you, so we're gonna put that on our socials. I'm gonna show you all of the printing that I've done here. You'll be able to see all of my time lapse for all these things. You'll be able to see it come together, and you'll be able to see kind of the progression as I build out this armor. Just a word of warning, the color doesn't matter because I'm gonna print all these things, primer them and paint them, so I'm gonna end up looking like a clown. It's gonna be all sorts of colors. That's just gonna be the fun part of it. But you'll be able to see this all come together, and eventually you'll be able to watch it turn into a suit of armor that I'll be able to wear for Halloween. So that should be a pretty epic piece. But I'm Ron Burke, Editor-in-Chief for Gamingtrend.com. Thank you very much for watching. Check out our full review at Gamingtrend.com. We'll see you again very soon.